Speaking one of the best. Oh God, the clips just keep on coming. The gift just keeps on coming from these progressive left. So you had the co-hosts of The View acted and attacked through their actions here on The View. They attacked the Good Samaritan who stopped an active shooter at an Indiana mall and got basic facts about the story completely wrong while dismissing the man's heroic actions. And they called his heroic actions lucky. That's what they called it. It was just all sheer luck. We've seen this time and time again. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and watch this clip from The View.
They say that a good guy with a gun can control a bad guy with a gun. Well, we saw in Uvalde that that's not true.
And you saw it in Buffalo.
Yes, we saw it in Buffalo.
But we saw that it is true in Indiana.
It was true in Indiana. That was a lucky moment. And you know what? I feel like this. If you're a good guy with a gun, you should not object to background checks or licensing or, a limitation on military-style weapons that kill thousands at once or hundreds at once. So why can't they just pull that off?
But with this Good Samaritan thing, listen, I was trained when I was at the Justice Department in firearms, and I was trained in defensive firearm training. It is very hard to hit a moving target. It is hard for people that are trained to hit a moving target. It is very lucky that Good Samaritan hit that moving target in that way. And he had a gun permit, but he wasn't supposed to be in the mall with a gun. So he broke the law, even though he was a Good Samaritan.
The law of Indiana is different than the law of the mall, of Simon Malls, and I would say that takes precedence when you save a life.
Well, he saved a life, but...
Guys, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We gotta go. We'll be right back.
It is so baffling that people actually watch this show and just absorb everything these ladies are saying, going, oh, okay, this is right. Oh my God, this is good. As if they're intellectuals. They're the Aristotles of our time. They're the Platos of our time. These women consistently on a weekly basis say asinine things. Joy Behar, during one incident that we recorded a while ago, where you had a black woman stabbing actively another black woman in the neck and was ultimately shot and killed by a police officer, Joy Behar was up in arms over that shooting and said it never should have occurred, that the cop should have shot his gun first in the air, or if possible, shot her in the buttocks or the kneecap or shot her gun away like it's a Hollywood film. This is the people that come out and say asinine things always, and you have these other people that watch the show that are just going, oh, okay, yeah, sounds great. Yeah, you must be right. Without doing their own research, without actually looking to see what that person is talking about and seeing if it's actually true. So let's go through a few quotes here on what they said and break it apart. She said, it was true in Indiana. That was a lucky moment, she said dismissively. And you know what? I feel like this, if you're a good guy with a gun, you should not object to background checks or licensing or, limitation on military-style weapons that kill thousands at once. It's unbelievable, okay? Background checks or licensing. Look, we're not all against background checks or licensing. There is a case to be made if that licensing turns into a registry. We don't exactly want the government to know who has the guns, because at one point in time, you progressive crazy leftists, not you watching, but Joy Behar and the rest of the hosts of The View, you have Sunny Hostin, you have freaking Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, those ones. They might be trying to push a certain agenda, and they are pushing a certain agenda by limiting military-style weapons. What's military-style? What does that mean? I mean, handguns are military-style. Semi-autos are military-style. Long rifles are military-style. A freaking knife is a military-style weapon. So they want to get rid of it all, and we don't necessarily want a registry because we don't want the government taking and knowing where our firearms are. And she says that military-style weapons that kill thousands of people at once, I mean, the idiocracy, folks. It's laughable. It's such a clown show. And then she realizes what she said was dumb, so since she switched it to hundreds at once. These are the same people that want a 10-round mag. And it's like, how are you going to kill 100 people at once? I mean, I'm sure it has happened. Extremely rare. She might be talking maybe about the Vegas shooter that was just picking people off. It's like freaking when you open up a can of sardines and they're just all jam-packed in there. Maybe that's what she's talking about. I don't know if there was 100 people there that were injured. Maybe there was. I can't recall. And she goes on to say, so why can't they just pull that off? Yeah. Later on in the discussion, Hostin criticized Dickens, the man who shot that intruder, the hero, for taking action to stop the mall shooter, bringing up her own experience with firearms training. It's amazing that with her firearms training, she shuts a knucklehead on all these things in terms of firearms. Quote, but this Good Samaritan thing, listen, I was trained when I was at the Justice Department of Firearms, and I was trained in offensive firearm training. It is very hard to hit a moving target. 100% correct. It is hard to hit a moving target. It is hard to hit a moving target when your adrenaline's not rushing. It is hard to hit a moving target when somebody's not shooting at you. So you just sitting there, just having fun with your buddies, trying to hit a moving target is quite difficult. That's without all those external factors. By the way, she never mentioned any of this when Joy Behar was talking about that incident where that lady was stabbing the other lady in the neck, actively about to stab her, and was shot by that cop. She never brought this up about shooting him in the buttocks or the leg or the knee, all these idiotic things. No, she never brought up to Joy because, again, they want to push an agenda. She went on to say, it is hard for people that are trained to hit a moving target. It is very lucky that the Good Samaritan hit that moving target in that way. She is correct. In a sense, it is kind of luck depending on his training. I don't have the full knowledge in terms of what this Good Samaritan had with firearms training. But what I will say, and the point I want to make is that since it's so hard to hit a moving target, why do you want to limit the amount of rounds in a mag? That is the whole purpose of you carrying rounds, is to be able to hit a target. And it's not always that easy. It's actually extremely hard, which is why you want more rounds, which is why you want more ammo to be able to protect yourself if the target is moving. But they don't want to talk about that. That's too logical for them, folks. Way too logical for them. It's amazing that they can make certain statements, but don't see where those certain statements contradict their other statements that they've been making for like years, decades. Unbelievable. She went on to falsely state that Dickens was carrying his firearm illegally. Quote, he had a gun permit, but wasn't supposed to be in the mall with a gun, she said. So he broke the law even though he was a Good Samaritan. There's a problem here, folks. Indiana became what is known as a constitutional carry state in March, when their governor signed a law eliminating the license requirement to carry a handgun. Anyone who previously could obtain a permit to carry a handgun is legally permitted to do so without a permit in Indiana. Furthermore, the Indianapolis Star reported that the Greenwood Park Mall had no gun policy, but attorney and firearms instructor Guy Relford told the paper Indiana's constitutional carry and stand your ground laws protected Dickens' actions because he acted to save the people targeted by the shooter. And how he kind of compared this, and I love this analogy, he said that the mall's policy is similar to the no shoes, no shirt, no service sign, explaining that while a business could ask a customer that violates the policy to leave, no crime is committed unless the customer refuses to do so. In a case where the customer ignores the business's demand, he would be trespassing, which is a crime in Indiana. So what she espoused, what she pushed to all her viewers, which, like I said, happens all the time, is completely false. But they're going to absorb this, and they're going to walk amongst all of us and hate on us all concealed carry, Second Amendment advocates, and push their crazy ass agendas when it's consistently wrong. And I love how there's that word limiting, right? That Joy Behar used. They want to limit the military style weapons. It's infringing. You're not allowed to infringe on it, and that's exactly what you're doing. You're just switching the words out, which the left does all the time. They'll manipulate the wording on things to push their agenda, and at that point it's game over. Because once you manipulate the wording, you manipulate the politics of the world, and the politics then will change the legislation, and then we all get screwed. So that's where the view is at on things, pushing their hypocrisy. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.